All right, Andrew, you want to kick us off here?
Yes, I do. All right. Well, hello, everyone. Welcome to the new features webinar for October 29th, 2020. My name is Andrew Triplett. I am the Director of Consulting here at Touchpoint Software. And with me is Chris Dolan. Chris, you want to say hello?
Hi, everyone.
And so we're going to be kicking things off. I'm going to talk through the agenda first. I want to flip over to the agenda. There we go. First, the really big ticket item for the day is the new giving. You've probably been seeing blog posts come out about this. So Chris is going to walk through giving. And then if you joined us for Summit, you know a little bit about ticketing, but ticketing is now live. And so I'm going to talk us through ticketing and then our new questions enhancement that rolled out just a few weeks ago. And we have a few other items as well. And then after that, Chris is going to talk through the roadmap, what's coming down the pipe, and then finally we'll wrap up with some Q&A. So we have a lot to get to today. So as we're moving through today's webinar, if you have any questions, as always, please feel free to ask. Just use the Q&A icon at the bottom of your screen in the Zoom console, so you can ask your questions. All right. So with
that, let me kick it off here by showing off the new giving. So there are a lot of new things here that I want to point out that we're really excited about. First and foremost, all of the giving pages are now able to be combined into one beautiful, clean page that is completely mobile responsive, meaning it will work as a link from your website or within the mobile app. So your congregants can manage the recurring giving, set up a one-time gift or a pledge very easily. A few other things here are that you can have multiple payment methods. Donors can set different recurring frequencies. So if I want to make a $100 gift to the benevolence on a monthly basis, I can also set a gift to a different amount with a different frequency to, say, the budget or local operations. There's also the option to set end date for recurring gifts. It's an optional thing that churches can set per fund. On one-time giving, you can have the option to put notes on gifts, and I unfortunately don't have that set up on any of these funds, but that's something that can be set per fund. And then you can have multiple payment methods. So donors can now set as many payment methods as they'd like, and they can also choose to cover the transaction fees. Just want to note here real quick, this is something that you set, and all it does is it simply increases the donation that the person's making. We do not take any cut of transaction fees, and this just increases the donation that would be processed through whatever payment processor you use. A few other things, it's really easy to see and manage your existing recurring gifts, and optionally you also have the ability to have your pledge summary. It shows on the pledge tab. If you want to have it on one-time or recurring, you can do that as well to see, for donors to be able to see how much they pledge and how much they've contributed to date. A few other things to note. If I go over here, it shows the new login process. So if I am not logged in, and you do not have to log in to make a one-time gift. So if I want to make a one-time gift of $100, I can go in here and fill out my information and hit submit, and it will automatically attach that record, that donation to my record. But if I want to sign in, it gives me the option to put in my cell phone number. I can also sign in with an email address. Super easy, gives you a secure one-time code, and then you're logged in. Once you're logged in, then you have the option to use saved payment methods. You've probably seen in the blog post that there are 3 videos that we released. One is an overview of these features that actually goes in a little bit more depth and shows off all of the different features. The second one is an overview of how to set up all of these pages. It's super easy. It's a very short video. It walks through everything step by step. I'm going to do a quick overview of those things, as well as cover what is covered in the third video, which is how do you migrate from the legacy recurring giving to the new. So first is under the administration menu, you'll now see a new option for online giving. which takes you to this page where you can set up as many giving pages as you'd like. Let me click in and show you one of these. They're super easy to set up. If you want to change the funds that you have in here, you can add another fund, like a specific mission trip. You can select an entry point. This is where you can determine whether you want it to be recurring, one-time, or pledge. So if your church doesn't use pledges, you can simply remove that or simply add it back. You can choose whichever shell you'd like to use for these giving pages. And so if you want to brand your giving pages differently, if you have a particular fund or initiative or campus or ministry that you want to look different, you can do that. And on the communications tab, you can also do the same for all the emails. All these emails are customizable per giving page. So very, very nice. You can also use the new email builder for building those. We have preloaded email templates in here for you that you can clone and make as many copies of as you'd like and customize these to your liking so that they have your church's branding, your church's colors, your church's logos, all of that stuff. And you'll notice here that you can filter these. All of those emails that will show up on that page must be assigned the role giving email templates, which all admins have by default. And if admins want to make that available to other users, you can do that by giving them that role. On the settings tab, you'll notice we moved all of the contribution and finance settings under a finance tab and organized them. The things that you'll need to know, and this, I'm not going to go into depth on this, but there's new settings here for donor covers fees. There's some new settings for online giving, pledges, and recurring as well. So you'll want to check those out. And then on the fund management page is where you set whether you want to allow an end date for a recurring gift and whether you want to allow a note to show up on a fund. In terms of migrating, it's super easy. You can get to this page, and this page, you can get to this page from two locations, either from the Managed Giving report, which is under Administration Managed Giving, or from the online giving setup. So on the top of this page here, you'll see how many recurring donors you have and see the button to go and migrate those donors. So it walks you through here all the things that you should make sure you do before you migrate your donors, what happens in the migration process, and then what you need to do after the migration. And it's as simple as clicking this button and all of your donors will migrate over to the new system and all of your pages will be your new pages will be turned on and old pages redirected to them. So super easy. Go ahead and get your pages set up and hopefully you can get these going live any day now. So last thing I wanted to show you is on the Managed Giving report, you'll know that your donors have been migrated because there's a new table that will show up at the top. So this is showing an old donor that has not been migrated from the old system. And once they get migrated, they'll all show up in the top section. And you'll notice that if somebody's giving to multiple funds, they'll now show up as multiple lines. And we actually surface the fund and the frequency all right here. We have this new search bar that allows you to search by donor name or all kinds of things, dates. You can put an amount in there. You can put a frequency. And you can filter and search that very easily. You can also manage the individual gifts at the fund level if you wanted to go in and delete one for a donor. I think that's it. So let me turn it back over to you, Andrew.
All right. Okay, so I'm going to talk through the new ticketing features, and to do that, I'm going to actually take us to the website. For anyone that is interested in learning more about ticketing beyond today's webinar, I would encourage you to go to touchpointsoftware.com/ticketing. All right, so I'm going to walk through this real quickly, and then I'm going to do a very brief demonstration of what a reserved seating style event might look like. So from here, from the website, building venues. So one of the first things that you'll do once you're up and running on ticketing is, and we'll talk about pricing just a little bit later on, but once you're up and running on ticketing, you will create your venues, or you can commission Touchpoint to build the venues for you. That is a service that we provide, but you all will absolutely have the ability to do it on your end. Each church will have as many venues as they want. I would imagine most churches having about 3 or more, probably one for the sanctuary, one for the fellowship hall, and another for whatever other venues you might have where you are selling tickets. Okay, so they're entirely customizable on your end. You're going to manage the event from within Touchpoint software. So you're not having to use third-party integrations. You're not having to go anywhere else. It's all happening from within Touchpoint. So what that means is that you're not having to learn different logins. The reporting is going to be reporting that you're already familiar with. You can use the transactions report for the majority of your reporting needs, as well as some new ticketing reports that we've already rolled out, and we'll have a few more rolling out very soon. Social distancing rules, obviously, in the age of COVID, we need to, if we're going to be doing events, we're going to be hosting events, we need to do that responsibly. So we do have social distancing rules built in, and I'm going to demonstrate that for you in just a moment. But what that means is that when people make their selections, when they indicate which seat they will sit in, the seats around them will be blocked off so that people can't buy seats right next to each other if they're in different groups or different family units. And then finally, selling tickets online or in person. Obviously, people will be able to purchase their tickets online, but for those individuals who aren't comfortable with that or would rather speak to someone at the church, you do have access to an internal box office, which we call the assisted booking page. And then people can pay using cash, check, or credit card over the phone if they prefer. And then at the bottom of our form here at touchpointsoftware.com/ticketing, you can select get a demo, and then either myself or a member of our team will be scheduling a Zoom call with you so that we can walk through this together and we can answer all of your questions. As far as pricing is concerned, there's a one-time fee to activate ticketing for your church. And then after that, you have the option of either purchasing tickets in a block or purchasing as you go. There is a 20% discount if you purchase a block of tickets rather than just paying for tickets as you go. All right, so let's do a quick demonstration of what this might look like. So internally here, I have Scene Christmas Tree 2020 that we might sell tickets for. So just like any other registration that you've worked with within Touchpoint, I try register link, and there's a link that I need for the event. From here, the individual will select which occurrence they will be purchasing tickets for, and then they're presented with the venue. If I hover over one of these sections, you can see an image pops up that gives me a sense of what my view might look like from that section, as well as telling me the price of the tickets within that section. So I'll go ahead and select section C here. Part of my social distancing rules, I've indicated I want all of my aisle seats to be blocked off so no one can select an aisle seat. Now, if I start selecting seats within this section, I'm going to select 4, and then notice what happens. The seats in front, behind, and to the left and right of my selection are blocked off. So now no one will be able to select those seats to ensure that we have good space between each individual at the event. All right, so then I'm going to go ahead and hit submit. And since this is a part of the Touchpoint registration process, you will have the ability to add registration questions to the payment process. This portion is entirely optional. You don't have to use this, but this is really useful if you need people to indicate if they need childcare, or if this is like a dinner theater event where they need to select a meal, they can go ahead and do that. Okay. And then finally, that'll take me to the payment page with our new payment module that Chris was just showing a moment ago, where people can see their save payment method or add a new payment method. Okay. So that is the ticketing features. Again, if you want to learn more, go ahead and request a demo and we'll sit down with you and we'll go deep into that. And now I also want to talk through the new questions module. So some of you have probably already seen this has been live for a little while now, but from the registration questions tab, we have a new interface for creating your questions. It's much more clean, much more compact. So you see here, I have 3 questions on the screen and I don't have to scroll. I can see all those questions in one place. So you're going to be doing much less scrolling on this page. If I select edit and then add question, you'll see that we have reorganized this portion so that free-form questions and standardized questions are separated. It's easier to digest and easier to add your questions. Single line answers extra question has now changed to single line answers. We've also added radio buttons, which is a feature that didn't exist before. And then down here, we have some design elements, and we have the new instruction plane. So we have instruction highlighted, which was always there, and now instruction plane as well. And then my favorite addition to the questions is this preview button here. So if I select preview, I get a preview of the form. This is not live, so it's not going to time out on you or anything like that, but you can access this page to get a sense for how your form is coming along. All right. Now, going back to the slides here for just a moment. A few other things that I just want to talk through real quickly before giving it back to Chris to talk about roadmap. We have had a few enhancements to scheduled SMS. Now from the scheduled SMS page, it's much easier to see what has been scheduled in the future, highlighted there in green, and then the ability to delete a scheduled SMS right there in the action column. So that experience has gotten much easier, much more simple with those enhancements. New custom access role settings. We have released a few new custom access roles for you all to take a look at, but one of the more significant enhancements to that feature is now we are highlighting the portions that have been changed from their default sections. So if you ever need to get back to default, you can easily see what has changed highlighted there in yellow. Email template filters. If you go to the special content page and go to your email templates, by now, if you're using Touchpoint email, which we sincerely hope that you are, then by now you have a pretty good list of email templates to choose from. So now we've added filters to that page so that you can find the things that you're looking for. You can filter by rules, or excuse me, by roles, or by type, being either mobile responsive or the old HTML editor, so that you can narrow your screen down and find the templates that you're looking for. The COVID health screening. So this is a special organization registration type that is available upon request. So if you reach out to our support team, then they can activate this for you. What this is going to do is this is going to ask questions that are we've taken from the CDC, and this is essentially the screening that anyone needs to do to come to an event. So people would fill out this form first, and then once they've filled out this form, then you would be giving them access to the registration for whatever event you might be holding. This is a special organization. There's a script running behind it so that every 2 days, the members of the organization that have taken the COVID health screening are dropped. So they would have to take the screening again if they want to register for another event in the future. So you're always getting good up-to-date information. And that 2-day threshold, that is customizable per church. And finally, we mentioned before, and you have seen both Chris and I use the new shells today. We've rolled out 3 new shells for our churches to use. We're really excited about these. They look great, and they are very easy to manage and manipulate. So this is what we call the standard shell. On the screen, obviously, you have a darker color and then a lighter color beneath it, and then the logo in the top left-hand corner. So each church would, in theory, update their own logo to customize it, make it look like their own. And then we have the same version, but we call it the light version, if you prefer just having the one color down the page. And then those are great for if your color, notice on the standard shell, you do need a white logo. If your logo has dark colors, then you would use the light version. And then finally, the new shell with background. This is a really cool look. A lot of churches are kind of going this direction where they will use a nice high resolution image behind the form. And that's going to look a little bit more like your website. So it's one cohesive experience going from the website to the giving form or the registration form back to the website. All right, so I'll hand it over to you, Chris.
All right. So a few quick updates on the roadmap. Got a few exciting things that I can show you that are actually in development right now, including some new options for pledging. Currently, when you make a pledge, you're making a pledge over that period of time, but soon, this is something we hope to be releasing in the November new features webinar and talking about more. Donors will have the ability to specify the frequency of how they're making that pledge, and it will calculate and even project out to the future how much that pledge will equal then. So it makes it easier for some tracking purposes and actually seeing where they should be year to date compared to what they've actually pledged for their giving. So it makes it easier for them to plan ahead. Andrew mentioned this a little bit, that there are some changes coming to coupons. In fact, we're actually doing away with the term coupons. They're going to be called discount codes, and we have added additional coupon codes that you can use and relayed this whole page out. It has a new interface for creating those coupons and a lot of really great features. Again, this is something that's very close to being wrapped up, and we will be doing some thorough testing on it and then hopefully releasing this in time for the November new features webinar as well. In addition to that, some other things we're working on the website is, so you've heard some of these things if you were at Summit, but we're reworking organization that's actually going to be rebranded Involvements. There's going to be new org types, new layouts to the organization page, as well as the meetings page, and lots more to come on Involvements over the next year. But those are some things that you'll see more on a quicker timeline. The final testing is happening right now in local time zones. So if you are in a church that doesn't happen to be in central time zone, this will mean you'll be able to see times for scheduled emails, scheduled SMS, things like that, all in your local time zones. And we are doing final testing and hope to have that out in November as well. Tasking Contacts is getting a whole makeover. In fact, it's going to be, Contacts is going to become Notes. And we're keeping a lot of the same robust functionality, but just making it fewer clicks. And some of the fields will be more optional and easier to use. So we're really excited about the designs and the way that that's shaping up. So lots more on the web front. Only going to show you a few of those things, but got to keep some things in my back pocket, and we'll be showing off even more in November and December that I haven't even shared. So on the mobile roadmap, we are excited to be announcing that our mobile app update should be landing in November. Everything is coming together very nicely, and the November new features webinar will talk about some of the things I just talked about on the website, in addition to some of these great new features on the mobile, which include sermon notes. And some of you that were at the summit got a sneak peek of that. The ability to have content pages, which is basically the ability to host content within the app instead of having to push out to your website in certain places using HTML. There's going to be the attendance app, which you all are familiar with, hopefully, and are using to take attendance for different events. You'll be able to take attendance using a QR code. That's a really cool feature, and it's in beta with a few churches. And then self-check-in is probably one of the most anticipated features. That is the ability for families to be able to check themselves in before they arrive on Sunday morning, and then scan that QR code, and it will print all their labels. So really excited to be releasing that. It's coming together very nicely. Two other things are that we are going to be supporting translations within the app. So if you're a church that might have a multilingual campus, like a Spanish or a Chinese, we are going to be supporting Spanish and both traditional and simplified Chinese. So all the hard-coded words within the app will translate. And then there'll be some new deep links that we'll be rolling out as well, which is a really powerful feature. If you're not using, I encourage you to read up on that. Deep linking is one of the best ways to drive adoption of the mobile app and make it super easy for your congregants to interact with your church. So that is the update on the roadmap. And so hope you'll join us in November. Speaking of, there's some upcoming events. So as a reminder, these new feature webinars are monthly. The next one is going to be on Thursday, November 19th. That's 1 week earlier than it usually is, and that is because of Thanksgiving. And we're also going to be hosting 2 roundtables next week. These will be an hour long. You can hop on anytime. We'll be sending out a link in the follow-up email of how you can register for those. But it's a place for you to ask additional questions, since we probably won't be able to answer all the questions here today. If you need help getting your page set up, I'd encourage you to watch the 3 videos before you join one of those roundtables because it walks through all of the different things that you might need to know. But if you have additional questions or things that you want to talk through, we will have teammates from our end, experts that can answer those questions and help you get your giving pages launched. One more announcement here is for those that were at the summit and also that receive our newsletter, we had some promotions from the summit that we extended through the end of this month. So these promotions expire on Saturday, and they are in the following categories. Under training and consulting, if you buy at least 10 hours, then you get 20% additional hours for free. There's a tune-up package that is discounted for 4 hours of training and 3 hours of consulting. This might be for a church that's had some staff turnover or needs some help taking advantage of some of these new features. We're happy to walk alongside of you and make that easy and possible for you to roll those out super quick. If you want to buy a custom domain, so this is actually eliminates the TPS-DB in your domain name. So for example, if your church is mychurch.com, then you could have account.mychurch.com, and there's a $400 setup fee for that, but it's discounted to $350 through Saturday. We'll send out the link if you want to take advantage of that. It's really easy and allows you to, make your URL look even more like your website. Ticketing, if you buy a block of tickets, there's a promotion where we throw in setup fee, and tickets will be available if you pre-buy them through the end of 2021. So you have plenty of time to be able to buy those tickets. And then as always, we have this referral program. If you're interested in taking advantage of that or any of the others, we will send these out in the follow-up email. So let's jump over to some Q&A. So I've answered a number of these questions already, and you'll see some of those, but I just want to call out a few that that people asked around. One around donor covers fees. So donor covers fees, that is something that you're able to set. There's both a base fee and a percentage fee that you can set for ACH and credit card or debit, and the church is able to set that to whatever your payment processor charges you. Somebody has asked whether the pledge page can be removed from the giving, and absolutely you can determine which pages you want between one-time, recurring, or pledge. You can set up one that's just for pledging, one for one time. You can set up as many of these pages as you'd like. Andrew?
Let's see here. So there is a question about, actually asked about frequency for giving. So let's see here. So if I go to online giving here and we take a look at one of these forms, you'll see that there's 4 items for frequency. This is controlled on the settings page. So if you go to administration and then settings and then finance and recurring, you can see all of the different, there's actually 6 different recurring options. So weekly, bi-weekly, semi-monthly, and monthly. And then within settings, you can also turn on quarterly recurring giving and annual recurring giving. If you do activate those, rather than having the 4 blocks this way, you're going to actually have a drop down here instead. So actually, that's why you're seeing a drop down rather than the 4 boxes.
Somebody's asking about task within the mobile app. Yes, we are planning to do a lot of work around task and notes in the mobile app as well after we do the revamp on the website. When is the translation feature going to be ready for use? That will be part of the new, the release that's coming in November will automatically include that. And so if you have congregants that have their phone set to Spanish or Chinese, and you can actually set that at the app level, those words will automatically translate for them.
Jennifer is asking about email templates, and Jennifer, I don't completely understand your question, so maybe maybe submit a support request, and or I can follow up with you after today's meeting. But if you go to special content and then email templates, and then template type mobile responsive and roles, let's see here, giving email templates. Here are all of your, here are all of your giving templates that will be available to you when you're setting up giving. So if you don't see the one that you were looking for, if you update it and give it the role of giving email template, then it should become available to you within the giving setup.
Somebody asked a question about how do you find the URL for the giving page? That's a great question. Andrew, if you go to administration and online giving, you'll see those links are right there, the public URL right there in the fourth column. And so if you disable a page, if you disable one of those pages, then you'll see that that URL goes away, and there's a setting on the page where you can actually have a redirect. So if you have a page that's open for say 6 months and you want to close that, because that link could be out there, you might want to redirect those donors to a new giving page, and you would just type that new page in here, and that page would be disabled when you disable it, and donors would be redirected to the new giving page.
All right, is the custom domain an annual fee?
No, that is actually just a one-time setup fee, covers our cost because it is a little bit of work to do, but there's no additional fees after that. Somebody asked about social distancing rules within within the ticketing feature. That is something that you can completely set for yourself, for your church, however you would like. So it's very customizable. There's lots of options there.
Stephanie answers an interesting question. I little bit hesitant, but Chris, I might put you on the spot a little bit here. Will there be your workflow ability with the redesign of tasks and contacts?
Yes, and we actually have a lot to spec'd out around the workflow, but as we started working on that project, we realized that task and contacts were an essential part of that. And so we are working on that now. But as soon as we get a place where that is ready, then we will be moving into the workflow, and that will be phase 2 of it. But yes, those two are very related. So someone asked about how the fee works. For the way it's considered for the donor, if I make a $100 gift and I have a $2 fee, it actually looks on my statement as if I made a $102 gift, because that is, according to the IRS, that is the way I actually donated $102, and so that is tax deductible. There is a way that you can track that on the back end. You can filter out transactions that have the fee, and one thing that's going to be coming in a couple of weeks is some additional reports that will actually show you and be able to break out those donations and see which ones had the fee and how much there will and things like that. So that is coming. So we are over time, unfortunately. So I think we need to end it here. If we didn't get to one of your questions, I apologize. We will download those questions and try to answer them over email over the next day. And thank you for joining us, and watch out for a follow-up email with some links to the promotions, as well as check us out in November for the November New Feature webinar, or join us for one of the roundtables next week. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.